I went to over 40 agencies, well over a month, just pounding the pavement. Got through, had my first interview, was so excited, I think I scared the poor woman. Did not get that job.
Dad, I'm so glad your car broke down in the desert. And I'm like, well, that's a weird thing to say, right? And he's like, because if your car didn't break down, I wouldn't be here today.
Hey guys, and welcome to Tipping Point. In today's episode, I am sitting down with two self-made, very successful entrepreneurs, David Dowling, the man who invented digital advertising as we know it, as well as Gene Swank, the man who took a $100 initial investment, flipped that into a multi-million-dollar company. They're going to tell us their stories, how they got to where they are today, as well as their tipping point, of course, that moment they knew they were onto something huge. So stick around, you are not going to want to miss it. Gene, David, thank you guys so much for coming in.
It's great to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, anytime. It's a pleasure. So let's just jump right into it. You guys, founder, co-founder of Propellant Labs, right? You guys call that fuel for startups. We're going to get into all of that. We're going to figure out how you guys got there. So David, tell us, what was your tipping point?
Graduated from the University of Connecticut and was looking for a job in New York City, and would go down every single day to a different ad agency in the city, wearing one suit in the middle of the summer. Went to over 40 different agencies and dropped off my resume, tried to get a job. Wasn't able to get past security at the bottom level. On the train ride home, I would write a note to the person that I was trying to reach, then follow up with a call in a couple of days. And what I would invariably hear is, they would ask the question, are they expecting your call? And I would say, no, I dropped off my resume and was unable to get through. So after a couple of times of that, I would write in the letter, I'll call you next week. And that way, when I called and got that question, I was able to say, well, he or she is expecting my call. And that invariably got me through each time to speak with the HR person. I went to over 40 agencies, well over a month, just pounding the pavement. Got through, had my first interview, was so excited, I think I scared the poor woman. Did not get that job. But the second one I did, and that was the start of my career in advertising. And it was very interesting because when I started, I was doing traditional media planning and buying, working for packaged goods businesses in New York City. And I was getting paid an amount such that when I would take car rides home, the agency would have to supply us with car rides home. They were paying more to take me to and from my job than I was actually getting in salary. But what I was seeing, what was interesting is I was a junior bear just starting out, but I saw an article a week, then an article every couple of days, and an article a day in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal talking about the billions and billions of dollars that were being spent by AT&T and Time Warner and other companies to build these fiber optic lines across the country. And it got me thinking that there's something here, something's coming, and they were talking about interactive television at the time. So on my own initiative, I wrote a business plan to set up a separate interactive unit. I became the first person at Gray Advertising worldwide doing interactive marketing. That ultimately led to me being the founder and president of Media.com, which was a wholly owned subsidiary of Gray Advertising. And there I built a multi-million-dollar marketing agency. We did the first cost-per-click deals on the internet. Had over 30 employees, profitable business. Procter & Gamble, Dell, Intel, Sprint Business were all clients.
So I'm going to go way back, all the way back to my college days, and we get a little bit raw here.
I'm scared. I thought you were going to say medieval times.
Yeah, no, not quite that long ago. So after college, let's just say I made a couple mistakes, and I was broke, and I mean broke, like the kind of broke where when I would take the check from the company I was actually working for to the bank that issued it, so I could cash it there because I didn't want it to go towards my negative bank account, right? That's how broke I was. I'm talking no cell phone. Basically living with a friend, kind of broke. And I decided one day I really wanted to change my life. So I went online and I looked for a job, and I actually was able to come up with an interview in San Diego. And I was told basically by the company I was interviewing with, it was a big company, I won't mention their name, but you pretty much have the job, right? It's just a formality. We need you to come down here for the interview. And I realized very quickly I don't have enough money to basically pay for the plane ticket to fly to San Diego, because I'm in Missouri, by the way. I forgot to mention that part. I grew up in Missouri. I didn't have the money to fly all the way to San Diego and then back, so I had to make a decision. And I decided to pack up everything I own into the back of my car and to take off cross country. And I'm so excited because I'm like, I'm gonna change my life, right? I'm gonna change my life. As I'm traveling out there, I pushed a little button in my car and turned the car into overdrive as I'm going up the mountains. And I actually ended up burning up the transmission in my car.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it took pretty much every penny that I had saved up to fix the transmission and then to pay for the first month, basically, for the room I was renting, essentially. So by the time I paid for that, I think I had about $20 left to my name in a new city. It was a pretty scary time. And one other sort of small detail here, it takes a little while to fix a transmission. And I actually missed the interview, and my phone had been turned off because I was poor, so I had no way to contact them. So I go expecting that I'm just gonna go in for this interview, everything's gonna be great, but I find out the job is no longer there. So now I'm in a new city, $20 to my name, I'm like, I'm in trouble. So I go to a temp agency and I say, I will take any job you have. I will clean toilets, I will answer the phone, I don't care what it is. Any job you have, I'll take. And they're like, I got this job, and you can take it, but it's kind of in the technology field because I graduated with a degree in software engineering. But it's basically just pushing buttons and writing things down. It's like the lowest, I think it was just above minimum wage kind of thing. And it was a week-long contract. But for the first time in my life, I had a boss that actually believed in me. And he gave me a shot. So the company was having some issues with the product they were working on. It wasn't really making any money. And I had this idea for taking this sort of manual process that was very expensive and creating some software around it. My boss says, that sounds like a great idea, but guess what? We can't pay you for that. So I decide, I'm like, he's like, if you want to do it in your spare time, great, go ahead. And I'm like, you know what? Game on. So I go home and create a little system, bring it in and show it to them. They absolutely love it. It saves them a ton of money. And I go from, it's supposed to be a week-long contract that turns into 14 years. I started at the bottom, worked my way up in the company. And the craziest thing about it, though, is that there was a Christmas party that year. And I didn't have a date because I'm new to San Diego. And one of the guys in the back says to me, my girlfriend has this friend I'd love for you to introduce. That woman becomes my wife, right? And none of these things really, they didn't come together until I remember one day with my youngest son, and he knows the story, I've told him the story a few times, and he says to me, Dad, I'm so glad your car broke down in the desert. And I'm like, well, that's a weird thing to say, right? And he's like, because if your car didn't break down, I wouldn't be here today. And then all of a sudden, everything all the dots start to connect, and I realized that, something so amazing that happened in my life all stemmed from this absolutely terrible experience.
Thanks for watching Tipping Point, guys. If you liked what you saw, make sure to tune in for more. In episode 2, Gene and David are going to tell us what it takes to be an entrepreneur in today's age. Trust me, you are not going to want to miss it.